that, Pastor Mike. I know how this works. I was honest. I was transparent. They didn't care. They didn't do right. Matter of fact, I don't know, it was like an interest for a week, and then no one ever... Listen, if you've been burned by people, just jot this down. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 9 through 11. And you can go all the way, 12, 13, 14, when he starts to talk about Alexander the coppersmith. Paul had a lot of people that did him wrong. Would you agree with that? Here he is in a Roman prison, the second time, about to lose his head by the Roman officials, and everyone has abandoned him. Demas, love the present world. Others, dispatched because of ministry. But he is now there alone with only one person with him. And here's what he says. Hey, Timothy, can you come to me? And can you bring John Mark with you, please? Paul is asking for people, even when people he relied on weren't trustworthy, even when they didn't respond well. So some of you are no longer involved in a small group. You used to be a part of a ministry where you were face-to-face with people, but now you just check in on Sunday and you're done with all that because you did it, you tried it, and it didn't work. Can you be as godly as the Apostle Paul and at least say, I know some people have let me down, but I'm not giving up on people being the hands and feet and body of Christ? Because Christ is going to broker his comfort through them. And it may not be that Alexander or Demas are the guy, but there's going to be somebody like Luke or John or Timothy, and they're going to work in your lives the comfort of God when you're struggling. We need the body of Christ. Don't let a bad experience isolate you. Philemon was a little book we studied between Acts and 2 Corinthians. And I love the word here in verse 7. It says, for I've derived much joy and comfort from your love. Paul writing to Philemon. He says, my brother, because the hearts of the saints have been refreshed through you. That happens when people are face-to-face in small groups. It needs to be a part of your priority. If you're too busy to go to a small group at your church, whether you're listening on the radio or whether you're sitting here looking at my face right now, then you're too busy as a Christian. You need to cut back. You just need to. You got to have time for this. It needs to happen. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, let's look at verse 9 now. That's the first ingredient. You got to be honest. You got to be transparent about your hurts. Verse 9, now look at it carefully. Indeed, we felt that we had received the sentence of death. Oh man, we thought we were going to die. But that was to make us not rely on ourselves, but on our small group that God provided. Write down small group there. Make sure you underline that and highlight that phrase. Do you see that there, small group? No. I thought this was all about, Pastor Mike, about small groups, about other people. Yeah, but Paul knows the difference between the means and the source. And you know who doesn't know the difference between the means and the source? Non-Christians. Don't act like a non-Christian. Don't think like a non-Christian. Right? Don't confuse the fact that the non-Christian can go to a support group, a hobby group, a guild, a 12-step program, whatever. They can go to groups and get a lot of God's blessings just through the natural, common grace of God. They can experience a lot of good things, like they can by hiking through the Sierras or sitting on a cliff looking at the Pacific Ocean, and they can be calm. There can be things that happen in their lives brokered from God. Every good gift is from God, and they experience a lot of good gifts. But they start to focus on the means and not the source. And you can too, but you're supposed to be a Christian. And the difference, according to Romans 1, between Christians and non-Christians is they don't give thanks, but you give thanks, not to the means, although you should give thanks to the means, but to the source. Number two, you need to trust the ultimate source of comfort.